This is the last ever time we go on MSC. We're not undergoing this again. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's freedom of bloody speech. We can give a review, and if they're so unconfident and so scared of us putting something out, they've had to block us. I mean, that's pretty pathetic.
So we have a pretty big conundrum that has gone viral on YouTube involving two content creators. Well, they have one channel together, they're a couple, and a cruise line, to the point in which they were banned from filming on board a specific cruise ship. That caused them to want to leave the cruise early and even state that they will never cruise with this line ever again. Now, I am going to break down this situation looking at all sides of it, because I am, of course, on the side of the content creator in this one. However, there are things that need to be said that, well, a lot of people just simply don't talk about when it comes to recording on board cruise ships as a content creator. There is a popular YouTube channel known as Ben and David. Believe it or not, I've actually been watching them before I even started my own YouTube channel, and they make very good, aesthetically pleasing content. I would say, as opposed to me, they are more on the videographer end. They know how to color grade and do all that magical stuff. They make content that I could only hope one day to achieve. However, they were recently on board the World Europa cruise ship, and well, they were there filming for a couple days. They paid, I believe, in the ballpark range of just under $6,000 USD to stay in the premier area on board, the suites area known as the Yacht Club. It's very, very nice. You get your own butler, and it's called a ship within a ship concept, where all the people that are willing to dish out some extra coin can go and indulge and enjoy that experience. Whenever you dish out that kind of money for a 1 week long vacation, whether it's to enjoy the experience and just simply be on vacation, document for yourself, your families, for you to indulge in those memories forever, or you are critiquing the cruise ship, personally for me, I do believe it is all fair game, so long as you are within the confines and rules and regulations that the cruise line has set forth, and you are not blatantly trying to disturb or record anybody else. I say blatantly because there are people out there that get mad at literally anything on earth for whatever reason. The way all of this went down, Ben and David paid their money to get on board the World Europa in the Yacht Club like everybody else. So they were essentially paying passengers that were, again, free to essentially do what they want, of course, without bothering or disrespecting anybody else. So they did just that. While on board the ship for a couple days, they had absolutely no problem whatsoever. But I guess some of the staff on board became somewhat privy to what was going on as far as them recording, and maybe they looked up some of their content, and they weren't too pleased as far as what they saw, to the point to where just a couple days later, while they were on board, coming out and blatantly telling them that they were no longer allowed to film anything else while they were on board the World Europa. There are a few clips that I want to share from their actual video, and then we will dive in a little bit deeper after, but do keep in mind, one, you can check out the full video. I will leave it in the description box. I do encourage all of you to do so. That way you can get the full scope of the situation. And also, these clips that I am about to show do fall under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. It is fair use, meaning I am allowed to use it because I am educating, I am critiquing, and I am transforming.
It's such a shame we've been stopped from filming. We are not allowed to film on this ship anymore. We've been fully censored here. So going forward, can we recommend MSC? Absolutely not. It is shady as hell. I mean, a company doing this is so shady. It's terrible for PR. We've got a big YouTube channel, guys, and we're going to talk about it. We're not going to be silenced through this. But yeah, it's such a shame. Guys, for us, this is the last ever time we go on MSC. We're not undergoing this again. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's freedom of bloody speech. We can give a review, and if they're so unconfident and so scared of us putting something out, they've had to block us. I mean, that's pretty pathetic. I mean, it's a free world. As I said, I know this is private property. We're completely aware of that, but everybody else is allowed to film. Everybody else is going around the ships with mobile phones. If we'd done that, guys, if we'd been just filming with our mobile phone, they wouldn't have said anything to us. Even though our camera's really small, it's the size of my hand, and we don't have any microphones on there or anything.
So as a content creator, and I will say for argument's sake, as a content creator with a decent sized following, we have realistically two options as far as how we go about getting on a cruise ship and recording, aka creating content. We can either, one, reach out to the cruise line directly via either the marketing team or the media team with said cruise line, or we can go ahead and pay it ourselves and go on as a regular revenue paying passenger. That way we don't have any rules and restrictions. If we go the first route of contacting the cruise line directly, yes, we are going to have some rules and regulations. They're going to want to know the full scope of the videos potentially that we are going to be doing. What is the purpose of us making content on board? How many videos are we going to do? Can they get copies of all of them? And they have to get us with whoever is going to tell us what we can and can't do, potentially what we can and can't say. And in return for following said rules, they'll give us things things like drink packages. They may even comp the cruise. They'll give you Wi-Fi and potentially even access to places that, let's say, the regular paying passengers may not have access to. Speaking from experience, I have been on both sides of the coin here. I have been on cruises, I want to say for the better part, as many of you know, for about 3 years straight. I invested my own money well over the ballpark area of over $100,000 for the past 3 years to pay for my cruises personally. That way I can critique and look at the pros, cons, and everything in between without any restrictions whatsoever. I've also been on the other side where, yes, the cruise line may have comped the cruise and made me only pay for like the port fees and taxes. However, I put my foot down every time and told them, hey, either you're going to let me do what I want to do, I can help promote whatever it is you're promoting, but as far as the rules and restrictions, I'm not following it. If that is an issue, I will gladly pay for the cruise myself so I can go ahead and do as I please. The problem with paying for yourself is that you do not have the backing of the cruise line, meaning that yes, in a way, which I'm going to elaborate here in a minute a little bit more, it is technically private property and they can tell you what you can and cannot do to a certain extent. And let's say, for example, when I've paid, I've been limited to, let's say, not being able to record any of the water slides. Meanwhile, the other influencers and content creators that are with the cruise line are the only people able to get said footage. They're the only people that are able to get clearance to go to certain parts of the ship. Meanwhile, even though I paid, I am a content creator, I personally am not. I don't think it's right. I don't think it's wrong. However, it's just kind of part of the game and you have to decide which route it is that you want to go down. Now that we have the basic scope of the situation out of the way, let's go ahead and get down to the nitty-gritty with Ben and David. First of all, I will tell you right now, ain't no way that a cruise line could convince me to get off and disembark a cruise ship because I couldn't record. If I'm a paying passenger and they tell me I can't record, I want to see where in the fine print says I cannot do any recording. I would not leave. I would stand my ground professionally, of course. However, I do believe that they probably should have just stood their ground a little bit more and made a better argument of why they aren't allowed to film, or in their case, why they should rather be allowed to film. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. However, there are two plausible arguments that I do believe could kind of help the case in the way of, let's say, more so MSC. Ben and David, like I said, they are very good videographers, and I've seen them on board many a ship. Oftentimes, I'm not saying they did on this particular situation, they usually carry some pretty heavy duty equipment. I'm talking about professional grade cameras that are, well, a lot of money and do very good jobs. It could be a situation where for a lot of cruise lines or really any company, they will make it so that if you are doing actual media work by way of bringing in heavy duty equipment, you do have to go directly with that company, sign on with them, let them know that essentially a media crew is coming into town and is going to be doing some filming. This protects them, this protects the content creators and pretty much everybody involved. That part I do understand if that was the case. Sorry, let me rephrase that because I do believe I just gave a little too much power into the hands of MSC. I somewhat understand if a giant media organization that is absolutely massive and could potentially sway an audience to a certain way, I could see that, let's say, Ben and David hadn't reached out to them at all, or maybe they did, because I've reached out to many a cruise line. They either ignored me or they told me flat out, we don't care who you are, we don't care what you're trying to do, just go do it on your own, and that's it. I understand things from that perspective, but also looking at it from where they are, being in the yacht club, do keep in mind it's the suites area. While the tickets are not as high priced as, let's say, like the Haven with NCL or the Royal Suites with Royal Caribbean, they are still going to be housing their highest paying guest on board. And higher paying guests, I'm not saying that they are better than any of the regular paying passengers on board, but they are going to naturally have a little bit more swing in the way of making sure their privacy is not disturbed in any way, shape, or form. They are not disrespected. And naturally, the crew on said cruise ship are going to go above and beyond to make sure that they are also having a good time because, once again, they are the highest paying passengers on board. Not saying it's right, not saying it's wrong once again, but this is just the way things typically are, especially when you start getting into the premium to luxury products. It's just business. Now, as far as MSC, the brand, the Mediterranean Shipping Company, or as I like to joke about, the Mafia Shipping Company, they are a little wonky, a little weird at times as far as how they conduct themselves as far as their operations. They are without a doubt a great cruise line. Their ships are absolutely beautiful and they clearly have a great product that people like. They are, in my opinion, #1, at least over in Latin America, #1 over in Southern Europe. They're killing it over in Africa and a lot of different places. Little by little, I do believe, and I've made videos about this, that they obviously have the money. They could go ahead and become a heavy contender here in the United States, and I do believe that they are already planning to do so. It's happening right right now. But as far as what's going on, let's say in this case with Ben and David, the fact that they stopped them from recording, it is a little sketchy, a little suspicious in my personal opinion, considering where we are in the world. Naturally, there have been plenty of people, and I know it's going to be in the comment section here, people saying that people should be just enjoying their vacation. Nobody should be filming, nobody should be recording and all that. It is 2024. Welcome to the digital revolution, where let's say people like myself and other content creators out there literally make a living going and doing this stuff. And none of us mean any harm, no foul. We don't have any, let's say, nefarious intentions of making the brand look bad. The fact that we are being honest, I do believe in a lot of ways, and I say this as a travel agent as well, does help a lot of passengers decide on which cruise line and what category of cabin and experience they actually want. What has been blatantly obvious to me that has taken place, because as you guys know, I do cruise a lot. I'm on a lot of cruise ships with a lot of different lines. It seems like in this era, the cruise lines have now caught on to the fact that content creators or even, let's say, influencers are very important to brand building for them. And obviously, as far as promoting, it's going to be a little bit more cost effective for them in the marketing category. They're saving a lot of money and bringing people on for, let's say, almost free and having them promote and potentially getting, let's say, tens of thousands or even millions of dollars back in basically free advertising. The problem with all of this, and this is not only MSC, it's happening now with Royal Caribbean, NCL, Carnival somewhat, the cruise lines are starting to bring in people, pay them, give them a free cruise, tell them what they want them to say, and those people that are doing that for them are only saying good things. What I have an issue with as far as that is that it seems like these companies are starting to become, let's say, afraid of anybody bringing out any negative criticisms. I wouldn't even call it negative. I hate that people throw that around. I don't think it's negative. This is the reality. There are going to be pros and cons to everything. And if the cruise lines as a brand are afraid of that, then it seems to me that they are in the wrong business. I don't mean to make this some kind of rant, because it's not, but it is a little infuriating to see what's happening these days. You got all the lines basically hiring mouthpieces that are going to say and do whatever it is they want, and anybody else that is, let's say, looking at both sides of the coin, of the positive and the negatives, and like I said, everything in between, it is now an issue. You get called being negative, you get called bashing the cruise line, and it's very annoying when people like myself, Ben and David, and all the rest of the content creators that look at everything are just trying to do well by the cruise lines and the viewers that watch that want some realistic information, insight, and experience so that they can make the best choice possible as far as what they are going to do for their vacation option if they choose to do a cruise. Long story short, as long as they weren't using their heavy-duty, massive cameras that I have seen them use and they weren't disturbing anybody, this whole situation, this conundrum, if you will, is wrong, it's weird, and it should have never happened. I do, in a way, understand they deciding that they want to go ahead and disembark the ship because they paid about $6,000 to get on board, and if they can't record, which is why they were there in the first place, what is the reason to stay? I do 100% understand that, and hopefully MSC watches their video or my video or somebody else's video and maybe they come up with some type of answer, because right now I'm thinking about taking my butt over to World Europa just to go record and say, hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm going to go record myself. And, well, I don't know. Probably not, but you guys get my point here. I don't think this is right, and I know there are going to be some people that are going to be totally against the filming on board cruise ships. It comes with the territory. It's going to happen at theme parks and really any other vacation option. How do you think all of you get all the photos and videos and information that you do get when you are deciding where you're going to go? It's people like myself, it's people like Ben and David, and it's other media groups that maybe they're a little bit well established or better established rather. Maybe they are just starting out, but I do believe this is just kind of baked in the cake. It's part of the territory. And if you don't like it, then, well, I hate to tell you this, you're in the wrong time zone. But of course, let me know your thoughts on this in the comment section below. Hit that like button on your way out, subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to book a cruise, make sure you check out Lux Rally, link in the description box below. And as usual, I love and appreciate every single one of you. I'll see you later. Take it easy.